Really,
And
really.
to be needed by other people. Like, I sometimes imagine the situation where nobody needs you for anything. Now, that would be the most incredibly lonely life. And there's probably nobody on the planet who, hopefully, who has that kind of life.
And we are live, and hello and welcome. Welcome to today's Shining the Light conversation on our community conversation. And today we have a very special guest, and I'm actually really honored to talk to the beautiful Samantha, to shine the light on everything that Samantha's doing and helping our world. And I just want to take a moment, Samantha, first of all, welcome you. Thank you for joining us. And to honor you, to really honor you in your journey and what you're doing to help people who are caregivers of others who are not so fortunate. And someone is calling somewhere. I don't know for you, and that is me, and I apologize about that. The joys of technology. We get calls without us even knowing about it sometimes. Anyway, Samantha, we're here to talk about dreaming. We're here to talk about caregiving and for caregivers not to give up on their dreams because they matter. But what I want to know, Samantha, is about you to start with. Tell us a little bit about yourself because you've got such a wonderful history, and you've done law, you've been taught meditation and yoga and Ayurveda, and now your passion is helping caregivers.
Yeah.
How did you get from practicing law to where you are now?
Firstly, thank you for the opportunity from SacredU and from you. And yeah, it's lovely that we get to have a conversation, just the two of us. This is how I managed to get that to happen. And I love your blues. The blues, one of my favorite, it's definitely one of my favorite colors. It's one of my brand colors as well. And yeah, I'm really enjoying seeing the blue. I have done a number of different things, and lately I've come to realize that I probably have some neurodivergent qualities,
Mhm.
and that means that I get very interested in something like Ayurveda, and I just devote myself entirely to it and immerse myself entirely to it. And then I wake up one day and I am absolutely not interested in that thing at all anymore.
Mhm.
And that's happened to me with a few things. And yeah, like all the work I put into becoming a lawyer and practiced for probably 9 years. I had my own law practice, I just loved helping people like that. I loved opening doors for people that I knew were closed to the vast majority of people. And the reason I did it was firstly for myself, because I was in yoga and Ayurveda, and I was really like living in La La Land and not the real world. I didn't want to deal with the real world. I just wanted to be spiritual, but it was fear really that was keeping me from doing that. So I actually took up Kung Fu
Okay.
at one stage, and through the body, strengthening my body, I actually felt like I was ready to go into law, because I had a law degree from way back when, but I hadn't gone into law. So I felt like I had the strength to do that now. So I did that. And then I soon realized that after a few years, I realized that I didn't want to support a system that was so adversarial and very right and wrong. law is the pinnacle of where you say this behavior is right and this behavior is wrong. And that just didn't feel in integrity for me anymore. So I started a partnership. This was in South Africa, doing mediation and training in nonviolent communication, which is all about needs, universal needs. So the reason someone's doing something is because it meets a particular need. It's not wrong. It may not meet my needs, and it may be very conflicting. It might be conflicting with what I would like, but it's not. Every behavior can be understood on the level of universal human needs. So yeah, that's a bit about my journey.
Okay. Okay, and now you're helping others who are caregivers for those who are neurodivergent, who are on the autism spectrum at all different levels and stuff. So could you let us know, what was something in your life, in your journey, and maybe a moment in your journey that kind of sparked your desire to help others, to rediscover their dreams?
Contribution is a universal human need, and it's one of the biggest. Like Tony Robbins, he says there's six needs, and contribution growth is one of those. So just an example of my life where when I first came to Australia, I was on a tourist visa. I applied for a carer visa, and I wasn't allowed to time, a year and a half, and contributed to diminished mental health. And it was because I couldn't contribute to others. And I think that's, if you take away from a person like refugees that have come to the country or another country, that is just such a fundamental. And of course, I could contribute in other ways, and I was caring for my daughter, but it just highlighted to me how important it is that we have like freedom to contribute in the way that we choose, and that lights us up.
Yes.
So I'm not doing it for other people. I'm doing it for me first and foremost.
Yeah, which is really wonderful. And thank you for saying that, because so much people don't really say that. It's always doing it for others and doing it for this and doing it for that, where if we get down to the bottom of everything, we are doing everything for ourselves because we're wanting something out of it, whatever that may be. And just
yes.
Really,
and
really.
to be needed by other people, like I sometimes imagine the situation where nobody needs you for anything. Now, that would be the most incredibly lonely life. And there's probably nobody on the planet hopefully, who has that kind of life, because we're so connected. Whether it's people down the road needs you to come and buy bread, but that's the life force moving between all of us. And I wanted to say something else about contribution. Okay, I've lost that.
It will come back, and that's okay, because yes, we all want to contribute to the world in some way.
Yes, thank you. And it's very connected to the need for growth and learning. So that's what comes with contribution, because when we want to contribute, the core belief that I'm not good enough, who's going to want to learn from me? There's so many other people doing what I'm doing. All those limiting beliefs come up, and basically it's all under the umbrella of fear. So in overcoming those fears, I am growing. So it's like a two for the price of one.
Yes, absolutely, totally, and balancing all that, then like you said, you are growing. And that's helping yourself, which you can therefore help others too. So thank you for that. What I'd love to know now, you are a caregiver for your daughter, okay?
Yes.
And you're helping others as well. So how do you balance all that? How do you balance caregiving for your daughter and yet also fulfilling your dreams and your desires and your needs of contribution?
The interesting thing is how, and what I want to support other caregivers to do is to live their dreams in a way that is aligned with their caregiving journey. So obviously, going and spending vast amounts of time in something that requires a lot of travel or a lot of time away from home is not going to be aligned if you're a caregiver. So there are limitations, but within those, there is so much that we can do. And not only that, I've seen how me stepping up to become a professional speaker and taking more opportunities to share on stages and on podcasts and radio, I'm bring my and that is just really building her self-esteem as well as showing her that what she has to contribute is really valuable. It's something that people want to hear about, and that being autistic is something special, and that we have a lot to learn from autism, especially. Yeah, there's a lot to learn. And I have a talk about how learning to communicate with autistic people makes us better communicators.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And will that be, is that something that you're going to be covering in your workshop on Monday?
No, not exactly. The workshop it's really for caregivers. It's got 3 components. It's how to build your support network and community. That's the first one. And included in that is also some aspects of understanding autism. And then the second aspect is the self-care and self-awareness, and also empathy, learning to do empathy, active listening. And the third component is once we feel safe, we're psychologically in a safe place, we can then create and play and dream things that goals, dreams, or it may not be anything even different from what you're doing, but it's a shift in perspective. So seeing that what you're doing is actually really meaningful in the world can make a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. No matter how small it may be or insignificant that we think it is, as you said, to see it as making a really big difference, because you never know whose life you're going to touch or in what way.
Yeah. And on a spiritual dimension as well, we don't know. I once heard that the reason people with a disability are so non-functional in this world is because they are doing so much work in other realms. And I have no evidence of that, but it made sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
What do you think of that, Sophia?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Again, we've got no evidence, but that is something that I could certainly agree with. Absolutely, and stuff like that.
So our role as a caregiver in just allowing that person to remain functional, fed and clothed and all the basic needs and just receive love, that is an incredibly important role. And one more thing about that is just the spiritual lesson of people that are different is about unconditional love, or one of the lessons, unconditional love, because they especially autistic people, they do not conform to any picture that we might have of how things should be, how they should dress, how they should behave, how they should socialize. None of it is according to what is typical. So you're left with, okay, just unconditional acceptance, or you'll be stressed and depressed.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. Totally agree. Agree with you. But again, we never know what's going on behind the physical body. We never know the role that we all have to play, whether it is on this physical plane, this 3D plane, or a completely different level, completely different plane, a completely different space in time. I think
And the impact,
yes,
yeah, the impact of all of our actions,
yeah.
small as they may be, yeah.
So tell us a bit more about this workshop. We've mentioned it. So first of all,
Yes.
what's the name of it and when's it on?
I think the title is Autism Caregivers Boost Your Well-Being Through Community Support.
Yeah.
And that is because I'm focusing on aspects like social isolation, which affect caregivers, and counteracting that with connection and community. And also the well-being. Typically, carers have a lower level of well-being and health, physical health, than the average Australian. And it's 90 minutes. It's a free webinar. Yeah, it's from 6 to 7:30 on this coming Monday, the 22nd.
Okay, and for everyone who's watching, whether you the live or the replay, do click on those links and come and join Samantha in that workshop, because again, it could be just the little tips that you give to help us maintain or help caregivers maintain a balanced life, and also not forget their own dreams, not forget themselves, because from personal experience too, there's so much in today's world for caregivers is that they forget about themselves. It's always giving for others. So this is a wonderful opportunity for us to get back in touch with ourselves. And thank you. And
That's right, Sophia. And by getting in touch with ourselves, we all know the consequences of neglecting our own needs, neglecting our own health, which leads to burnout and depression, resentment about your role, and all those yucky things. And so, yeah, it's again, by taking care of ourselves, by nurturing ourselves, obviously our role as caregivers is going to be more sustainable, more enjoyable, and more connected.
yeah, absolutely. And that's why I just really, and I've said it before, but really just like to honor you, because it takes a special person to not only to be a caregiver, which you are for your daughter, but also to recognize your own needs and your own talents and help and they're sharing that passion, those skills in helping others. So I'd really like to thank you for the contribution that you're making, Samantha, to our world.
Sophia, and back at you.
Thank you. What I'd love to know is, as someone who, who's navigated your personal challenges as well, and had various career changes, career shifts, what advice would you give for other caregivers who are feeling stuck in their situation?
Yes, just a word before I may directly answer that. So there's so many tools that I've gathered over the years of the different things I've done. And obviously I can't share those in 90 minutes. The way to continue working with me is one-on-one as a coach, specifically for carers. So What's the first step? What is a goal or a longing that you have? Just remembering that, and being able to visualize or imagine yourself doing that. Like for me, it would be standing up on a stage with my daughter next to me and her sharing. Now, she's incredibly shy. She's been verbal, but really struggles to put words together and process things in the way that a typical brain does. So yeah, I have that dream, and so holding that up and then just take the first step along the road to that. What would it look like? And that shifts how she is as well, because I'm holding that dream for both of us.
Mm. Holding those dreams up and never forgetting, never putting them aside, like really keep that.
As wild as it might seem, and as impossible as it might seem.
Mm.
And then getting the support you need to keep reminding you about that dream and keep taking steps towards it.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Because sometimes we forget the power of our dreams, and even whether they're real, like lucid dreaming, or whether we just think that it's a daydream, it's a fantasy. It's there for a reason, and if we keep that dream alive, then I really believe that one day it's going to happen. And I can see you, Samantha, standing up on stage with your daughter and being like standing in that power of that really moment of that. So I'm really looking forward for the day that happens. If I'm
She
not
did come on the radio with me a couple of weeks ago and had just a couple of sentences. So yeah, we're already on our way. Thank you so much.
No problems. Now, can I ask you before we wrap up, is there any other question that I could have asked you? And how would have you answered?
I can't, nothing comes to mind right now.
Is there anything else you would like to share? Whether it's about you and being in caregivers and not giving up their dreams, and or your program that's coming up on Monday.
Yeah, I guess I just want to acknowledge that caregivers might be experiencing trauma or overwhelm or any number of really challenging emotions because of what they're going through. And I just want to say that all is welcome. And that's why I'm focusing on caregivers, because I know that they might be starting from a place where the things I'm talking about seem like a million miles away. And all you need is just the desire that you want things to change, that the way things are going, the things that you end up thinking and feeling and doing every day are the same day after day, and you want to make a change to that. That's all that's needed, and everything else is welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to your program on Monday. And really, I said again, thank you for your contribution that you're making, not just to the SacredU community, but to the world, to the whole world, because as just by helping one person can have a ripple effect and help so many more. And you're a very special person, Samantha. Thank you so much.
Thank you.